name is Kristen Sanderson. I'm a park ranger with the National Park Service, and I'd like to welcome you to Fort Bowie National Historic Site, and more specifically, Apache Pass. We are at the trailhead that accesses Fort Bowie National Historic Site. Fort Bowie was set up as a hike-in site. It's a 1.5-mile one-way hike into the fort ruins in the visitor center, and that hike is an integral part of understanding how a military installation ended up in such a remote part of Arizona. The hike itself is a bit like hiking through history, and it really provides some insight into those events that shaped not only the Apache Pass area, but the establishment of the fort as well. We're standing next to a mesquite tree, and more specifically a velvet mesquite, and this is one of several plant species natively found in this part of Arizona. And prior to the establishment of the fort, this is a plant species that would have been found in abundance in the washes and really the lowlands here. But with the fort, with the occupation of the area by the military and the introduction of stock animals to the area, this is one species that has really taken over. The seeds came in on the hoofs of animals and in the feces of animals, and so it has just really dominated the landscape here. About a month and a half ago, I was fortunate enough to work with a group of students from the San Carlos Reservation, and they shared with me one of the cultural uses, if you will, of this plant. They refer to this as the candy bar tree. And the seed pods, when they're ripe and dry, if eaten, supposedly have a taste that's reminiscent of chocolate or caramel. You have to chew carefully. There are some hard seeds inside. But next time you're hiking in the desert and maybe you need a little snack or a taste testing experience, you can certainly keep your eyes open for a mesquite. We're standing in a beautiful triangular-shaped valley here at Fort Bowie National Historic Site, and this area was important for a number of reasons. It was the site of the Butterfield stage station, and it was also the site of the Bascom Affair. In 1861, the Bascom Affair occurred here in Apache Pass, and this ended up being really a two-week event. But what started the Bascom Affair was the kidnapping of a young boy from a local ranch. The stepfather accused Cochise and his band of Chiricahua Apache Indians of kidnapping this young boy, and the military sent a very young Lieutenant George Bascom out to meet with Cochise and to negotiate for the return of this young boy. This young boy at the time of his kidnapping was known as Felix Ward, but he was 12 years old at the time of his kidnapping. So when Cochise and Lieutenant Bascom met here in Apache Pass, just at the base of that hill there where the green ribbon of trees occurs, Lieutenant Bascom asked Cochise to return the young boy. When Cochise adamantly denied having that boy or knowing of his whereabouts, Lieutenant Bascom said that he would keep Cochise and several of his tribal members captive until the boy was returned. Cochise was angry by this accusation. He cut his way out of the tent and fled up the hill. He was so surprised by the turn of events that this meeting took that he supposedly reached the top of the hill with his coffee cup in hand. He came into this meeting expecting it to be a friendly rendezvous, if you will. He did attend that meeting with a wife and children and several male relatives. After Cochise escaped the tent, the military captured those individuals that he had traveled to the meeting with, and over the course of 2 weeks, Cochise and Lieutenant Bascom would try to negotiate. Cochise had captured several individuals coming through Apache Pass on stagecoaches, and he tried to exchange his captives for his family members that were being held by the U.S. military. At the end of this 2-week period, there were deaths on both sides. Both Cochise and the U.S. military ended up hanging their captives, and really kind of set the stage for future conflict between those two groups of people, the Chiricahua Apache Indians and the U.S. military. So to my left and my right, we have the original Butterfield Overland Mail route, and this route is running perpendicular to the trail that we are hiking into Fort Bowie on. But There was a stage station here in Apache Pass. It was one of 19 built in Arizona. And the Butterfield came through this area between the years of 1858 and 1861. It provided a through passageway for both mail and passengers between St. Louis and San Francisco. I'm here at the Fort Bowie Cemetery, where at one time you would have found Apache graves, civilian graves, and U.S. military graves. We're standing under a magnificent Arizona black walnut, another native plant species here found in southeastern Arizona. And in addition to providing some welcome shade during the summer months here, it would have been used as a food source by the Chiricahua Apache Indians. They would have eaten the seed or the nut. And then I have also heard that there is a black dye associated with the Arizona walnut that was used perhaps as a hair dye by the Chiricahua Apache Indians. Directly behind me is the Battle of Apache Pass site, and this was the second event that occurred that really shaped the Apache Pass area, but also set the tone for the relationship between the Chiricahua Apache Indians and the U.S. military. The Battle of Apache Pass occurred in July 1862. So the California Column, they were en route. This was a volunteer group of military men. They were en route from California to the south to support the country's Civil War efforts at that time. They were on their way to Apache Spring, the year-round source of water here, when they were ambushed in this particular location by the Chiricahua Apache. The Chiricahua Apache, led by Cochise and Mangus Coloradus, had occupied that hillside directly behind us. They were hidden behind rock walls, short rock walls. And as the California Column made their way towards the spring, they were ambushed. From a tactical standpoint, the Chiricahua Apache had the advantage. They had the high ground, and they had the element of surprise. They also had a greater number of forces, but the military had mountain howitzers. This is a type of weapon that was completely foreign to the Chiricahua Apache Indians. Now, the mountain howitzer wasn't real accurate, but it was loud and it was destructive, and it took the Apaches by surprise and was enough to turn the tide in the favor of the U.S. military. So after 2 days, the California Column was able to secure Apache Spring, and immediately after the Battle of Apache Pass, Fort Bowie was established to really serve as guardian of Apache Pass and Apache Spring. Well, behind me is Apache Spring. This is the year-round water source here in Apache Pass that drew populations for hundreds and thousands of years, from the prehistory peoples, the Chiricahua Apache, to the more recent settlers and ranchers in the area. The volume of water here at Apache Spring has changed quite dramatically over the years, and really that's because the water rights have changed. The water rights to Apache Spring were sold prior to the Park Service acquiring the site in 1964. So what you see today is just really a small trickle to maintain the historical integrity of the site. The rest of the water is piped off-site through a series of underground pipes to off-site ranches.